Hey guys, it was so cold this morning. So cold, like 40 something degrees, like mid 40s, like summer really is over 40s. That aside, I am out here checking on what I seeded the other day. I've checked under the cover and it doesn't look like anything has germinated, but I want to come through and re-wet everything, and I think, actually I know because I just tested it, this frost fabric is pretty penetrable. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. And it's on the ground. If I had it over arches, I probably wouldn't water over it because it would just run down the side. But since I have it flat, like flush to the ground, I can just water over it, and that'll save me a lot of hassle of peeling this back and then putting it back. So while I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna go ahead and water this now. Today is my CSA harvest day, so I'm going to be picking all day long, although as the season's gone on, I've gotten more efficient, I guess, because it doesn't take me quite as long as it did before. But something about this year is that I have no cold storage other than 2 refrigerators, and one is always full of milk, so there's really not a whole lot of extra space to store things cool for like a longer period of time. But we are in the works of a cold room, a very DIY cold room, but it's still exciting. We have plans for like a cool bot, and if I can, and fingers crossed I can, because there's going to be a ton, I'm going to store all of my dahlia tubers and potatoes in the cold room over the winter, and with a little space heater, I hope that I can keep it above freezing and keep all my tubers happy over the winter time. We'll see. That is going to make a world of difference, because having to pick everything in one day really makes for one super long day. And if I had the ability to keep, you know, things preserved in cold storage, I could pick a little bit every day, and that would really help. So I'm going to start with my least favorite thing to pick, which are these green beans, because it takes forever. So I'm going to put a podcast in, or maybe an audio book. I've been trying to listen to this book that Jessica Sowards recommended, and if she recommends it, I have to listen to it, you know, or read it. But this isn't my season of reading, this is my season of listening. So it's called, if you're into the way the world is today, which I don't know how you couldn't be, because it's all consuming, you know, it's your everyday life and how different and weird it is right now. The book I'm listening to basically breaks down like from the Industrial Revolution to now, and why things are the way they are, and what his predictions on what the outcomes are going to be, because, you know, it can't last forever. It's called The End of the World is Just the Beginning, and I'm only like an hour into the audiobook, but it's not read like a typical nonfiction boring book, because I can't do it. I've got to have a little story in there, or my brain can't handle all those facts, because creative brains and facts are just, anyway. But it's easy to listen to. Like, it's not read like in a monotone, boring history way. Anyway, if you want to know what I'm listening to today, I'm listening to that book. But anyway, I'm going to get to picking these beans, so that task will be done for the day and I can get it over with. I'm hiding like kind of behind underneath my four-wheeler because the light is just so bright. Here's what I found. I picked some beans. It's definitely not the gallons and gallons and gallons of what I got last time I showed you what I picked in beans, but I think I will have enough for my CSA, and that's really all that matters. And I have tons of noodle beans, which I'm gonna give them. It's just kind of it's like the novelty of doing the CSA or getting a CSA is getting foods that you have never had before or seen before, and I think that's kind of what the noodle bean is to me. It's kind of like Asian-y. Like, it's not super green bean, but it has a little bit of green bean, but also a little bit of something else. I like it, and it's really good in stir fry, which is what I'm going to suggest to my people. But while I was in there, I also found a melon that's ripe. I think it smells like it's ripe, and it peeled off the vine. And then the very last of my summer squash, which means summer has really come to an end. All my plants are dead. So all these are like the only good sized. I got a couple more patty pans that are good sized, but like the rest I just picked off dying plants, and so they're tiny, so I'll just use those for me. It's a few hours later now. I had to go inside and prep dinner because it's gonna be a late night. I'm running out of steam. Like, I understand more now that my job is kind of seasonal, why there are seasons. Do I like it? No. Do I appreciate it? No. Anyway, I think what I'm trying to say is God bless the season of rest, because I'm running out of steam by the day. But I am having a great pepper year. Probably the best pepper year I have ever had. By far, I've harvested gallons upon gallons upon gallons of peppers. But we're in that time where we need to save seeds. So you know what I do? I bring with me a marker. I always have this in my pouch. I keep that thing on me. I like my pouch. I put everything I own in there. But when I'm harvesting, I will go around, and the ones that are super ripe, I will write the variety on. This is a Jimmy Nardello, super sweet, and it only takes a couple peppers out of, you know, each variety, and I will save the seed, because if I try to delegate a day, I'll never ever do it. So just keep a marker in your pocket, and while you're harvesting whatever it is, squash, tomatoes, peppers, just write the variety on a couple, and then you know that those are the ones that you want to save the seeds for. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you a pro tip. I'm going to harvest. I'm not going to harvest every pepper because I would run out of totes, to be honest with you. But I'm going to eyeball it and think about how much I need and just harvest that, because there's not as much daylight in the day as there used to be. And at this rate, I'm going to run out of it. I'm overflowing, but before I go take this back, I just wanted to tell you some of the fun varieties. Not necessarily fun, but very useful that I have found this year. So, you know I love a shishito, but I've forced everyone in my CSA, whether they actually love it or not, and they're just too nice and they don't tell me. But those have been very handy. I don't give them every week because people would get sick of them, but they produce a ton. They're always there. Gonna grow it every year. These little guys, I got in a seed swap probably 3 years ago, and it was just labeled multicolor sweet pepper. What I got was one of my favorite peppers, and these have also saved my tail every week that I have had them in my CSA, because they're just like those little snacking peppers you get at the store. Super sweet, super versatile. Everyone loves these, and it makes a ton, and I just keep saving the seeds of them. And so I call them, on my label, I just label them heirloom lunchbox pepper, because there is a hybrid of this, and I do grow the hybrid, but I grew both this year. I grew the hybrid variety and these heirloom ones just to compare. There is literally no difference. They're both super productive. So now I know that I don't have to buy the hybrid seed to have these. I just keep saving the little seeds. You do get crosses once in a while. Like there's 1 or 2 plants in there that is like a cross, like it's got purple shoulders and it's weirdly big. So I know that that was not one of mine, but I saved so many seeds that they're not all crossed, you know? I also grow tons of bell peppers, and I think I'm going to narrow it down next year to just do 3 colors, a yellow, an orange, and a red. And so then I'll have the trifecta and just concentrate on that. I haven't found one that I super like, although I do like this one called Yellow Monster, but it's not super productive. This is like more for the home grower because it's like 8 inches long and it's cool. Let me see if I can find one. Like here's one, but this isn't even as big as it can get. It can get like way bigger than that one. Okay, what I am overflowing with right here. These are so delicious. You can fry them on like the grill or your Blackstone or cooktop or whatever and eat them just like that. They're delicious. You know, the roasted red peppers, like hummus and roasted red pepper sauce. This is what you need to make that. It's delicious, it's sweet, it's super versatile, it's also super productive. And this is called red Marconi. I know Marconi has at least, they probably have all the colors, red, yellow, and orange, but I'm not sure. But I know that I will always be growing this one, and I'm gonna try out the other colors next year just for that pop of color. I always grow banana peppers, okay, because I like to make like pickled pepper rings to put on salads and sandwiches and stuff, and I always just use banana peppers because they're super productive. I'm gonna be honest with you, never in my life have I let them ripen all the way. I've always used a banana pepper when it's banana colored. Like I thought that is what it was. They turn, I mean obviously every pepper turns a color, but to see this in the last couple weeks was just surprising. And they're much better because you know they're kind of bland when they're green, and I was like, well, everyone loves banana peppers. I don't really know why, because they don't really taste like anything. You're supposed to let them ripen. Duh, Kim. Like even, I'm dumb. Okay, and then the last one that I'm going to tell you about today that I've been loving, and this also would be a really good roasting pepper. Almost as productive as the red Marconi, but not quite, is this Ajvarsky pepper. It can get a little bigger than this. This is on the smaller side, but it's like this long pointy guy. Really good for roasted red peppers. I've been stuffing these. We've been eating peppers in literally everything because they're coming out of my ears. But God bless a good pepper year, because you know what hasn't been good? Tomatoes. And so every year it'll change back and forth. You'll have abundance in one thing and not so much in the other. And so that's just how it goes. But I'm gonna get all of these put up, and then I think I just have basil left to pick back here. I almost forgot to check one of my favorite peppers, and let me show you just how lush these plants are this year. I've never had them get this big before. Normally my Habanata plants are small. These things are outdoing themselves. They are huge, huge, like a quadruple the size of any other pepper plant in my patch. And they've taken quite a while to ripen. We're at the end of the season now, and they're just now ripening, but they are so good. These guys look like they would be dangerously spicy, but they're habanatas, so they're like habaneros, and they've somehow figured out how to breed them without the heat. which is what I enjoy because I don't like to eat food that hurts, you know? And so these have that like tropical flavor that I've never had in any other pepper that I've tried. That is not too spicy that I can't eat it, but they are delicious. I'm worried that this plant has so many on it, and I hope it has time to ripen. Sometimes once in a while you'll get a mildly spicy one, but it's not the kind of heat that hangs on. It's like as soon as you swallow it, it kind of goes away. But yeah, let me show you how many are on this plant. I mean, this plant is so large, and if you look in here, I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, but it's just, there's so many. Now, not a ton are ripe, but, I mean, it's like heavy with fruit. I have sang this variety's praises before, but now there is a basil right next to it that I have to compare. So this is a typical Italian basil. It must have gotten mixed up, you know, in my stuff. And then behind it, you see all of this with no flowers on it. Over here, that's all the Emerald Towers basil. I'm not sure if it's a hybrid or not. That's loud. Y'all been seeing a lot of military planes lately? I have. Is it scary? None at all. If you want to have basil all summer long without having to worry about picking the flowers off all the time, I highly suggest Emerald Towers. Now, it's not good for sustainability because it hardly goes to seed, especially it would probably have to overwinter somewhere and then go to seed later, and there's no way that basil is going to overwinter in my zone. But I have been loving it. I grew it for the first time last year, and especially as a market grower, I need it. So I will be even doubling what I'm growing of it next year. For one, I am very happy. I've had a very successful honey nut squash year for the first time. I've tried to grow them for 4 years now, and never once have I succeeded until now. The squash bugs have always killed my plants, but I've gotten so many of those delicious things. Anyway, I came to show you what varieties of okra I'm growing. So I have the typical Clemson spineless. I like this one because it doesn't stab me. We got Alabama red. I really like the squatty ones. They seem to stay usable a little longer than the long ones. And then one of my favorites is this Okinawa pink. I think I originally got the seeds from Baker Creek, and I just keep saving the seeds. Now, I do have a couple plants that look like they kind of cross, like they're kind of half. Let's see if I can find any. Anyway, they're in the bottom of my pouch, but I think I'm about done. All I have left to do is harvest from the high tunnel, and then I'm gonna call it a day, I think. It's tricking me. I think that it's a lot later than it is right now just because of the sun. It's 5 o'clock, but it looks like 7 because the sun goes down so early. I'm really almost done now. I'm in my tomato jungle. I stopped pruning quite some time ago. And you know what? It's working out great because my plants look super crusty in the heat of the summer because I need to figure out more ventilation in here. But they've had a resurgence and they're putting out new blooms. Now, while these blooms are never going to make it to fruition, there are still tons of green fruit on. that I feel confident that will ripen, and I've been harvesting out of here for weeks now, and by weeks I mean months. I think in the future, I mean, there are some pretty cool things coming here, but in the next summer I'm gonna try to grow mainly in tunnels, that's a little hint. Grow mainly in tunnels, and then put a few outside if I need to, and if I don't need to, I'm not going to, because my outside ones are dead, like literally dead, and my inside ones look great. So tomatoes really do benefit from being in a tunnel. Well, another harvest day has come and gone, so thank you for hanging out with me. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of scrounging for things here at the end of the season. I only have 2 harvest days left, you guys. My CSA was 16 weeks long, and I'm feeling, unless there's like some freak event, I'm feeling like I can scrounge my way through. I'm pretty sure. Next year, I'm already planning for next year, because that's what you do. At the end of one season, you're already thinking about the next one, or at least that's what me as a dreamer does. I never stop dreaming of the next big thing. But I'm going to take all my bounty inside and get it packed into boxes. So thank you guys for hanging out with me while I harvest one of the last times this year. So that's 16 weeks is a long time, I think, to guarantee something. That's scary. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Until next time.